This is Merritt and Kelly, and we are researching Derrière the Village, painted by Marc Chagall in 1916.
I was initially drawn to the dynamic composition of this work as it gave me an unsettled gut reaction, but it also made me want to just stare at it. I wasn't sure whether or not to tilt my head as I looked at it, take a step back, or get up super close. And I think the way that Chagall uses a strength of emotions, even through his minimalistic style in this artwork, is really intriguing to me.
Initially, I was put off by this work, but I couldn't look away. I think the emotion that Chagall is portraying on the figure's face, even though it's made up of such simple lines, it creates such a deepness of emotion, and it's really a disturbing emotion.
Chagall moved to Paris in 1910 when Cubism was gaining popularity and Cézanne, Van Gogh, and Matisse were also popular, but he wanted to reject the main styles of art like Cubism, which shows his desire to be avant-garde in his works.
This painting was created in 1916, which was a year before the Russian Revolution in 1917. And that revolution in 1917 is what brought about religious tolerance towards Jews in Russia, such as Marc Chagall. He was not living in Russia at this time, but I can still imagine he was feeling this oppression of Jews in his home country, even though he was not there. And I think that is really portrayed through his painting. You can see the sadness in the figure's eyes and the tiltedness of the city, kind of representing how this thing, it's been turned around, and the Jews are being hidden behind this city.
Another thing we see with the effects of World War I on artwork in this period is the fact that more photographs were being taken during the war, so people back home and artists were able to see firsthand what war truly looked like, aside from their imagination.
Also, around this time after World War I, art was taking a turn from being more optimistic and hopeful to more reflective and mourning. And that again is portrayed in the slantedness of the cityscape. It's almost turned upside down, as people felt turned upside down after the war.
Chagall's works tended to be polar opposites on the scale of black and white paintings in a minimalist style to very surrealist paintings with vibrant colors. You can see here two people flying above a village with colors like red, blue, and green highly emphasized. And there's also the fact that Chagall did the ceiling of the opera house. This work really shows the way that he was avant-garde because he juxtaposed his style on the ceiling of this opera house that was very old and from the Napoleonic era. And people did not like that at first. However, it's kind of grown to be a statement of the history of Paris. Being able to see these works from Chagall up close were really crucial, and they also came to point out further aspects of his art that we wouldn't have been able to see on a digital screen. We noticed that Chagall tended to sign his works twice, which is really interesting, and you can see in Derrière le Village that he signed in the bottom left corner and again in the bottom right corner, first with his first and last name and then with just his last name and the year. Overall, it was both fun and interesting for us to research Chagall and his art and to be able to know the context and history that was surrounding it when it was created.